first things first, forgive me if I sound a little funky this video. I am recovering from a mighty nasty flu, but I figured, hey, my voice is at a point where I can actually record, so let's actually do a video. It has nothing to do with me being concerned about ad revenue, no. But in today's video, we're going to be talking about two different versions of Sonic Triple Trouble. Now, if I'm looking for some of what I consider to be the absolute worst Sonic games, I can usually point to Sonic's 8-bit catalog. Be it the psychotic difficulty of the 8-bit version of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the just plain unfunness of Sonic Labyrinth, or just the amateurish clunkiness of Sonic Blast, which I could look past were it not for the Blue Marine Zone, which I think I can confidently say would put that game on my top 10 list of worst Sonic games. But what about Sonic 06 and Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric? Listen, I'm not Watch Mojo. I've actually played most of the Sonic games. Trust me, I would play 06 and Rise of Lyric a million times over before touching some of these entries. But there was one game which stood out amongst the crowd as the one to play. The 8-bit Sonic game where it feels like they didn't actually phone it in this time, and that is Sonic Triple Trouble, the spiritual successor to Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and the sequel to Sonic Chaos, which did a pretty good job at being baby's first Sonic game. In all honesty, I like Sonic Chaos, but yeah, it's a pretty damn easy and quick game. You know, if I weren't such a kind and benevolent fellow, I would put the rest of this video behind a paywall, but since you're all so nice, I'm only gonna ask you, and this is optional too, if you are enjoying this video, please hit the subscribe button for more content like this shooting up your butthole. But also, if you just want to help me find other potential subscribers, other people that might enjoy this content, hit the like button so that YouTube can recommend stuff like this instead of whatever already rich, wealthy, loaded, repellent personality they're trying to push today. Wealthy people on YouTube, how I pity them. And yeah, if you want to help me get a little bit of extra cash in the bank, God knows I need it, a link to my Patreon has been so gracefully provided by me in the description below. So if you've got a few extra coins you want to just throw my way, that would be fantastic. So, Sonic Triple Trouble. They're up in the ante this time. Not just one villain, not like that silly Sonic 1 and 2. No way, Jose, you've got three. Count them, 3 villains. You've got good old reliable Dr. Robotnik, sadly false advertised on the box art as having his Pingus design, yet when you load the game up, there's not a Pingus in sight. Returning from Sonic 3 and Knuckles is Knuckles, the freshly redeemed echidna who's been tricked by Dr. Robotnik into thinking Sonic's the bad guy once again, cementing as early as 1994 that Knuckles is just an idiot. You see, Sonic fans, as political as they are, like to debate what kind of characterization Knuckles should have, and the common argument is that Knuckles was only ever intended to be gullible and maybe a little more ignorant than outright stupid. But after everything the guy's been through, for him to once again side with Dr. Robotnik, well, yeah, the guy's just an idiot at this point. And they really ought to withdraw this guy's name from the Mobius Secret Santa bucket. Guy's got such trust issues, yet he's the one I really can't trust. And then there's our third villain, Knack the Weasel, aka Fang the Sniper. Once again, a case of the USA and Japan not being able to decide on a name for their villain. Now, I'm gonna say this, Fang makes sense as a name because he's got a fang, but at the same time, I don't see him carrying a sniper, and his personality is definitely a bit more weasel-like, and I can believe that, yeah, he's supposed to be a weasel species-wise, so Fang the Weasel we shall be referring to him as. Yep, there's our 3, count 'em, 3 villains, which definitely earns Sonic Triple Trouble its name. Yep. Definitely not like Metal Sonic appears, throwing that whole thing out. Although Sonic fights a barrage of different mechanized enemies in this game, could Metal Sonic not count as one of them? Does that then nullify Metal Sonic's position as a villain, making him merely an obstacle? Alright everybody, today we are here to discuss the sentience of robots. We will be starting with the famous Philip K. Dick novel, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Turn to page 1, please. Now, like Sonic Chaos before it, Sonic Triple Trouble has quite nice graphics and music and presentation overall, really pushing what the 8-bit generation was capable of. Also, like Sonic Chaos, the controls were definitely at their most refined. Sonic feels pretty good in Sonic Triple Trouble. He can do all those Sonic things, but now he can also spin dash, a feature that I think was only introduced into Sonic Chaos when it came to the 8-bit career for Sonic. But also when launching from springs, Sonic is also able to coil into his ball form, testing those reflexes reflexes, and yeah, that will be put into practice during some of the game. There's also a variety of unique power-ups, including rocket shoes. But what made Sonic Triple Trouble stand out from the crowd as far as I'm concerned was how it captured that Sonic sense of spectacle, which has only become more and more ingrained into Sonic as a franchise, meaning that Sonic Triple Trouble has actually aged much better than most of the 8-bit Sonic games. For example, in Sunset Park, you're treated to a third act, in which you're running along the top of a train and you then go on to fight the train. There's also a sense of narrative cohesion, especially for the character of Dr. Robotnik this time around. He takes very much a back seat this time, which only makes sense. He sent a barrage of unmanned mechs and Knuckles and Metal Sonic after Sonic, and you only really get to fight him at the very end of the game. But then what's to stop Sonic from just grabbing the Chaos Emeralds and kicking Robotnik's fingers again? Fang the Weasel's in the way this time, guarding 5 of the Chaos Emeralds. You also get 2 characters to play as, Sonic or Tails, Tails coming with his flight abilities. I think Sonic Triple Trouble also does a really good job at keeping things fresh from level to level. There's often new set pieces, and there is a decent sense of continuity between zones with the newly implemented cutscenes. Of all of the 8-bit Sonic games, this one definitely feels by a long shot to be the most event status of the bunch. However, sadly, it is still bound by the limitations of the 8-bit hardware. It definitely finds ways to push those limitations, but Sonic just doesn't quite feel as good on 8-bit systems as he does in 16-bit. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I do think that, like, Sonic's physics feeling very heavy on 8-bit hardware might have had something to do with those hardware limitations. Maybe that's what that blast processing thing that the Sega Mega Drive bragged was all about. I don't know, but Sonic just doesn't feel as good here as he does in his 16-bit outings. But now here we are in 2022, free of the limitations of the 8-bit hardware, and fan creator Noah Copeland has bought us the 16-bit version of Sonic Triple Trouble. Now, if I'm being completely honest, I didn't follow the development of this game for quite some time. This has apparently been in the works since like 2020, maybe even earlier than that, I don't know. But I only really very recently caught wind of this, and admittedly, I kind of thought, well, it's a 16-bit version of Sonic Triple Trouble. What can we really expect from that? And that's not to sound dismissive. Like, you know, if a fan had bought us a fully 16-bit translation of Sonic Triple Trouble, that in itself would be quite an impressive little feat. However, this 16-bit remake is a very different beast from its 8-bit counterpart, as while the core concept of Sonic taking on 3 different enemies, the overall level themes, are all pulled directly from that original version of Sonic Triple Trouble, Noah Copeland has completely overhauled this concept. The mission here wasn't just, can we remake Sonic Triple Trouble in 16-bit, it was, how do we take Sonic Triple Trouble, put it in 16-bit, and make it the best game it can possibly be. First things first, there's some new connective tissue here, with the opening suggesting that this took place mere moments after Sonic 3 and Knuckles, with Robotnik in a last-ditch effort fighting against Super Sonic. And you actually get to play this too. This is not just a cutscene, this is your tutorial stage, which ends with that Super Sonic vs. Robotnik boss fight. That is sick. As soon as that Sonic 3 final boss theme abruptly started playing, I was like, whoa, okay, I know I'm in for something a bit different here. And there are also other cool connective tissues really accentuating the geography of these stages. For example, between Meta Jungle Era Zone and Robotnik Winter Zone, we get the Egg Zeppelin, which means that not only did Sonic not just wander into the ice caps after being in the jungle, you also get a pretty sick action set piece. Also, the general structure of this game has been changed. Rather than being 3 acts per stage, in general it's 2, but occasionally you'll get a single act stage like Egg Zeppelin, or a 3-act stage like Sunset Park, with those third acts generally serving as space for an action set piece rather than being a fully fledged third act. This keeps the pacing really solid. Also, power-ups like the flight shoes have been relegated to being a bit more situational as part of set pieces, but it is better that way. It means you're not just able to fling yourself over large chunks of the level. In many ways, they kind of take up the tornado's place as being like your flight level kind of thing, but they're a lot more interesting. The special stages involve 3D racetracks against Knack the Weasel, so much like in the Game Gear original, you're fighting Knack for those Chaos Emeralds, but not only that, Knack is Sorry, I switched from Fang to Knack, didn't I? I hope you're not confused. Let's just go. He's Fang, okay? We're gonna go with Fang. The Fang boss fights are now the Act 1 mini boss fights, where Act 2, you'll be up against some form of Robotnik mech, or Knuckles the Echidna, who this time isn't just serving as like cutscenes throwing you between level to level. No way, you get to actually fight the guy, and he's no pushover this time. These feel like actual fights, unlike that pathetic boss fight in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. He's even interacting with the background and foreground. What is this, Knuckles? Heh. If you got that reference, well, wahoo, as they would say. Level designs have also been completely overhauled to maximize the potential of the 16-bit style of hardware. Like, this isn't playing on 16-bit hardware, but they are very faithful to this being a 16-bit experience. Everything here has been done within the limitations of 16-bit, but like the 16-bit Sonic games, they really do find ways to push the limitations of a 16-bit Sonic game. Like, just look at this. That could have easily just been a 3D model if you're just going to make this on a computer, but the fact that they did this within 16-bit limitations, it's pretty dang sick. It just, I don't know, it makes it more impressive to me. I don't know. I also like how in the second act of Tidal Plant, you get to play around in the drill submarine thing that only Tails could pilot in the original. It keeps things fresh, and I don't know, I found it pretty fun to control. And now let's talk about Sonic and Tails as well. This time, you can change between Sonic and Tails with the touch of a button. Yes, like in Sonic 2 and Sonic 3, they're both on screen together, but now you can switch between the two in an instant, which I thought was a really smart way of adapting that sort of two playable character thing that the original had going for it. So, Sonic basically controls the way he does in Sonic Mania. Those 16-bit classic Sonic physics are pretty much perfect, but now he comes equipped with the drop dash. Actually, no, it's not just like Sonic Mania either. It's kind of like the remastered Sonic CD, because he can drop dash, but he can also super peel out. There is one thing here where if I could change it, I would just have one thing, and that's the Insta Shield. I love the Insta Shield. The Insta Shield really helps out with those enemies that are like balls that have the spiked balls around them. You know the ones. Orbitrons, I think they're called. I don't know, I love the Insta Shield. And then there's Tails, who can fly and swim and carry Sonic, but he also has a flight cancel as well, which is awesome. Why does Tails not have that in all of the games? Like, why does he not have a flight cancel? Man, just this game is sick. Also, can we quickly talk about the music? The music is fantastic. Like, I thought the music for the original 8-bit version was pretty good, but it's now all been translated into 16-bit. Not only that, but it's got new energy to it as well. I didn't have the best memory of Sonic Triple Trouble when I started playing this, but as soon as Great Turquoise started playing, I was like, hey, I know this. Oh, cool, okay. But it's like a much more energetic version of it in the 16-bit style, and I was just like, dang, this is good. This is proper Sonic music, man. And just same goes for the rest of this soundtrack, but there are also some new tracks as well. But to talk about that, I'm gonna have to get a little bit spoilery. Now, why am I putting a spoiler warning here when I didn't put a spoiler warning on the Sonic Triple Trouble 8-bit version? Well, the reason is, this came out in 2022 just recently, and it does have some new surprises that the original 8-bit version didn't have. So without further ado, stay back! We are talking spoilers now, but we're still talking music. Given that you get to fight Knuckles, he's got his own boss theme, which incorporates his beta theme from Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and that made me go, hey, I think that's pretty cool. But I couldn't help but notice that there was definitely a Metal Sonic-y sound to his music, something that sounded very Stardust Speedway Speedway about it, and that's done very deliberately because in this game it's revealed that Knuckles is actually Metal Sonic in disguise. No, Knuckles was not fooled once again. This is Metal Sonic disguised as Knuckles. It was a deception all along, and the Metal Sonic boss this time around is way more dramatic. It's in a different place, but it's much more dramatic. And when you hear Metal Sonic's own theme, oh man, that's the Sonic the Fighter's Metal Sonic theme. Oh god, I love that theme so much. Oh my god, I am so happy it's here. Also, the USA version of Stardust Speedway as well. I think the one thing that would make this complete would be if they had Sonic 4 Episode 2's Metal Sonic theme mixed in there as well, because that's an awesome theme. Like, I don't like Sonic 4, but that's an awesome theme. Also, just the fact that Metal Sonic was Knuckles, what Knuckles was Metal Sonic all along, means that the game really does just keep it to the 3 villains, meaning it makes sense this time. Or does it? Or do we need to get our textbooks back out? There are also a ton of unlockables in this game as well. Complete the game as Sonic and Tails, and you unlock Knuckles' campaign. Complete the game as him, you unlock Metal Sonic. Complete the game as him, and you unlock Fang as well. Freaking wow. This 16-bit version of Sonic Triple Trouble takes the game and makes it not just a spiritual successor to Sonic 3 and Knuckles in theory. It just makes it a spiritual successor to Sonic 3 and Knuckles. This genuinely feels like the sequel we would have gotten on the Mega Drive. This feels like the true Sonic the Hedgehog 4, even more so than Sonic Mania does. And you know what? If Sega actually released this and said, yeah, this is Sonic 4, I would totally accept it. Is it as big as Sonic 3 and Knuckles? I don't think so. I don't think it's quite as big as that game was, but it certainly has all of the spectacle to make up for it. It's gotta be said, like, with these 16-bit Sonic fan games, or even just these 2D Sonic fan games, I feel like classic Sonic fans, or people that just like classic Sonic, are eating good. I feel like I'm eating well. Like, between this and Sonic and the Fallen Star, hell yeah, I don't need Sega to produce more classic Sonic games. The fans have it under control. And you know what? There's probably a ton more to talk about, but my voice hurts. Play it for yourself. It's free, you can download it, it's great. And it's even coming to Android devices, so you can play it on the go, so there's really no excuse for you not to play this one. Holy crap, what a great game. Noah Copeland, thank you for this. This is fantastic.
So what do you guys think? If you enjoyed this video and you want to support more like it, be sure to hit that big, beautiful subscribe button. And of course, in the description below are links to different social media feeds, including the Patreon. If you're feeling extra generous, like the following people, who are Marcus Ward, Sirius the Skeptic, Biotin Arts, Mr. SP, David 20 Covers, Sergio, Shodin, Legendary Ray Ray, Adam Myers. Thank you guys, you are the best of the best. But as for the rest of you, thank you so much for watching, guys, and have a great day.
Look,